here we go. You ready? You ready? Oh, you're born ready. I know, I can tell. Ready, dog. Ready, set, ready. Phew. There it goes. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Use of a Problem. I got the lovely Andrew Stewart feather shirt on. I think Andrew Stewart is who gave this to me. I'm misremembering. Feather shirt on today. So let's get light and feathery with it. Some weirdness is still going on with the BBBY bonds. A number of them have pending action listed as tender. Now, a tender action means that there's a payout coming at some point, or an offer for a payout coming. It could be anything from the bonds getting paid off to an offer on the bonds to close them out, whatever. Not all of them have this, only some of them have this. And they've identified a few different QSIP numbers for the ones that have it. Now, this is a lot of this is harkening back to that IRS document that was discovered that seemed to be about a butterfly transaction and was filed under the date that is part of DK Butterfly's name, the 2023-0930. So I was thinking about what this merger is going to be and how it's going to work and what assets are going to come out of it. That we can go through that document again. We did months ago, but it seems very much like there's an acquisition party. The acquisition party wants the nulls or assets owned by the shell. And if they're going to do that, they have to do a 1-for-1 share replacement for the shareholders of the company being acquired. And that would be us with our BBBY/DK Butterfly shares. Now, there's an interesting thing. So the company or the project was called Project Butterfly. I don't know if any of you have watched Peacemaker. It's a really hilarious show with John Cena playing sort of a dipshit sideline superhero. It comes out of the better version of the Suicide Squad that was made a couple of years ago. Now, there's an interesting thing, and I tried to do a screen capture of this on my phone, but it wouldn't actually record. It recorded the audio, but wouldn't record the video because I'm doing it through HBO Max, and they probably had some sort of thing stopping me from doing that. But in the first episode of Peacemaker, Peacemaker gets confronted by these like spooks who are going to be his handlers, and they're like, "You're going to be a part of Project Butterfly." And he's like, "Project Butterfly? I'm going to be battling a bunch of butterflies because you guys are real literal with your names." He talks about Project Starfish was a giant starfish, therefore Project Butterfly is probably a giant butterfly. A few episodes in, and I don't want to give you spoilers here if you haven't seen the show, but I'm going to have to here in a moment, so plug your ears. He shoots a guy in the face, and the dead body's on the ground, and coming out of the face is a butterfly. And he's like, "Oh, Project Butterfly." It makes me think that they named it Project Butterfly because you name the project literally what you're going to do. So in that show, if you're going to battle a starfish, you got Project Starfish. If you're going to battle a butterfly, you got Project Butterfly. So if you're going to make the term for your bankruptcy organization Project Butterfly, it's because you're going to make a butterfly. You're going to do a butterfly transaction. You're going to do this weird reverse merger thing using rules 382, 363, 1145, etc. in order to do the butterfly transaction, obtain a whole bunch of nulls and maybe other assets in the process, and poof, everybody makes out like a bandit in the end. So why would you call it Project Butterfly if you weren't doing a butterfly with it? Now, at this point, I would hit the butterfly intro, but I'm waiting for Alexander K to send me the license for the song used on it because I got dinged last time. I don't know why YouTube suddenly started doing this. So I need the license before I do that again because YouTube's like, "You can't monetize this." So no butterfly intro today. Instead, we'll just blow the world up because we're really good at that, right? Boop. Hope that didn't happen. Boop. There we go. Turn it off and off. There we go. Okay. Other things in the news. Trump was walking around the roof of the White House for some reason. What else happening? Oh, another earthquake happened in New York. There's a couple of small ones. They had a 3-point something the other day, and then another 3-point something today. That's interesting. That's weird to have an earthquake swarm in a relatively calm and quiet area of the world. Flooding continues all over the place. Iggy and I have been keeping our tallies up, and we're at 85 100-year floods or more powerful than that. I don't know if you saw the video footage. There was a cloud burst in the mountains outside a village in India, which caused this catastrophic mudslide that wiped out the town. And it's on video, and it is horrifying. I'm not going to click on it here. If you want to go find it, it's easy to find. But you can just see people just getting wiped out. They're running for their lives, and this wall of mud and water just tears the town out and just kills everyone. It is horrifying. We're up to 85 since June 1st. 85 100-year floods globally. This is insane. 2 months and some change in. 85. There's so much water falling in certain locations, it can't be captured, and it's just ravaging the hillsides. And then everywhere else is under heat domes, so you get these massive fires like the Gifford Fire going on in Southern California, now 75,000 acres. You got some huge fires going on in Arizona, fire starting to burn in Oregon. Even here, we've got a pretty decent-sized fire over the Olympics where we normally don't get fires. You're under heat dome or you're getting flooded. That seems to be the two options for most of the planet at this point. The marine heat wave happening in the Western Pacific is huge. Like off the coast of Japan, water temperatures are like 9 to 10 degrees above normal. Temperatures in Tampa are breaking 100 degrees, first time ever. Water temperatures are easily in the mid 90s. This is gonna prove worse. And if the sea surface temperatures, because of the melt off of Greenland, drop, right? And you get all this fresh water in Greenland, you're going to get the shutdown of the Atlantic Current. And if you get the shutdown of the Atlantic Current, then places like the Gulf of Mexico, I'm not calling Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico will cook because there won't be an outlet for that heat to go anywhere. So it's going to just kill off the reefs, kill off the animals, and it's going to be a stinky mess. So keep that in mind as we move on in the future here. Anything else you need to add in the news, Monkey? I didn't really put anything in the description today. No? Okay. Well, if there's anything, you guys will pop in with the questions and ask about it, and we will know then, right? That's on live chat. I have to put that in live chat. Okay, back up the top. Chris Taylor. Okay, here. N9 diddler on the roof. I saw you got it wrong there, but it's okay. Chris Taylor so sad I slept on SMCI puts. Oh, did they finally go down? Supermicro finally have a big old drop today because they should have. Michael Hum third. Are you? You are third. Michael Hum giving a wave. Chris Taylor. AMD misses 2. Are the cracks starting to show in the AI bubble? I think there's too many chips out there personally, and AI is not profitable. It is a giant money loser that sucks so much energy. I mean, there's now a push on Twitter to bankrupt Elon by overusing Grok. Basically, make Grok do everything, make it generate images and videos and summarize novels and movies and TV shows. Just make it do things so that Elon is just like burning fuel and getting nothing of merit or anything out of it. So I think it's kind of funny. The people are now like, you know what? Screw this AI stuff. We're just going to burn it to the ground by overusing it. And I kind of appreciate that. I mean, I have Grok blocked personally because yeah, it drives me with the wall. It really does. Like, okay, there's might be something complicated. You ask it to give you a summary. I get that. There might be some really complex data tables. You ask for it to identify a pattern. I get that. But so much of what people do with it is they let it do their thinking for them. And they're like, Grok, is this true? When just even like the most basic research, you can get your answer without having to like lazily have this thing tell you what to think all the time. There's something said about like going on a discovery and learning how to research and find things out on your own. And that skill is going to be lost to, is this true? So yeah, burnt to the ground. That's what I'm all for. Scott. Erd. And 9, impeaching everyone but Trump at this point. More delaying tactics, it seems like. Yeah, they're really, really trying to hold on to this arrest Obama for the fake Russia hoax. And Tulsi Gabbard misunderstands all the documents released that are like, yeah, it's happened. Like, they released a whole bunch of documents that the CIA confirmed was fake emails written by Russians, because it used a whole bunch of terminology. What's the name of that? Solipsism? Is that what it is? Solipsism? Where there's terms used by certain cultures that aren't found otherwhere. So, like, they use a term like, he was left out in his underwear. In Russian, that's a common term, but in English, it is not. So when you see it written in English, you're like, well, that's not an American. If you watched Bastards, what's that show? The Quentin Tarantino movie, Inglourious Bastards. The guy, asked for 3 drinks, and the Nazi's like, because the Germans do 3 like this. So if you do it like that, you are outing yourself. If you do it like this, they'll think you're a German. All the emails that were like, yeah, let's plot and plan, get this guy on Russia thing, were very obviously Russians. And the FBI agent who was in charge of the Russia investigation found nothing. Turns out he got arrested and charged for being a double agent for the Russians and working for a bunch of oligarchs. So the State Department, not sorry, State, but the Senate Intel Committee investigation, the CIA investigation, all found that Russia was working towards this goal. And they attempted to hack the voting systems, and they got into some of them, but they weren't able to change things like they wanted. But what they ended up doing was they hacked people's brains using Facebook and Cambridge Analytica and other sources like that to sort of weave a narrative and find exploits in kind of vulnerable people and get them programmed the way they wanted. So yeah, they're now trying to arrest Obama for treason because he claimed it by working with Russia. But meanwhile, Rick Gates, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, George Papadopoulos, Michael Cohen, Alex van der Swan, Konstantin Kilmanek, all those dudes went to prison for this stuff. Like, either obstruction, trying to block investigating these things, or for straight up working for the Russian government. Or with the Russian government, I should say. And yeah, it's all distraction to keep everyone's eyes off of the Epstein files. I don't know if you saw today that the New York Times released photos taken from the inside of Epstein's mansion, showing where all the security cameras were, and yeah, 300 gigabytes of photos and videos are what the FBI apparently has from Epstein. 300 gigabytes of photos and videos. That is so much, especially for 20-year-old compressed files. So yeah, Nathan Scott been MIA since last week. What happened to BBBY? Well, BBBY thing, we're in speculation station here. We are seem to be that something's happened with the bonds that has not been happening before. The payments, the future interest payments, have disappeared, and in place on some of the bonds are pending tender offers. So Class 6 get paid first, and once that's done, Class 9, all the shareholders. I'm not a bondholder, but I hope the bondholders... It sounds like the bondholders will likely get equity. At least the 2034s and the 2044 bondholders will get equity. Something like 30 or so shares per $1,000 of bonds. My guess is the 2024s will probably get paid out in cash. And so that reduces the amount of payout by what? $1.8 billion that it would need to be paid out to the various classes, which brings another $1.8 billion for shareholders in the end. So if you were a shareholder, you get a 1-for-1 in whatever the acquisition company is. In this case, we think it would be GameStop. So if you paid, 20 cents for your Bed Bath & Beyond share, you might get a 20-something dollar GameStop share as a result. So 100x on your investment. All right. Plus, you would get whatever cash is left over after paying off all the creditors, which, depending on the size of the float and what happens with that, could be pretty significant. Now, if you remember back to that, I think it was a 10K filed by GameStop back in 2023, right? So there was Bed Bath & Beyond went bankrupt. All of us were forced to take a loss on our tax filings for that because, hey, they're like, oh, it got canceled. You have to take a loss on it. And GameStop said, hey, we were forced to take a loss on investment even though we held the investment we never sold, which is basically what all of us had. I'm wondering if GameStop went and they bought an obscene number of Bed Bath & Beyond shares while it was in bankruptcy. Just a colossal amount. You don't have to report your ownership if you're buying while it's a Q stock. You can buy as much as you want and never have to report. So let's say GameStop buys 100 million shares, 600 million shares, a billion shares, right? They buy they buy more shares than exist on the stock. And what they do is they just hit the delete button, right? They eat the shares, they disappear them. Like when there's a stock buyback by a company, they just buy back shares and then poof, they're out of the float, right? And so if you have an instance where Hudson Bay Capital buys 700 million shares or whatever, and it makes the total shares outstanding gigantic, and then during bankruptcy you have someone like GameStop buy up, using millions and millions of dollars, buying up hundreds of millions of shares, and they just delete it, you can get a very small float, right? Remember, we're in speculation station. So let's say they buy up a billion shares, more shares than should exist. So the float essentially would technically not exist. Everyone would have synthetic shares in their account. Meaning, if you did a 1-for-1, right? All of those shares have to be provided by whoever created those synthetic shares. Meaning, GameStop actually would not be out any GameStop shares to give to those shareholders because they deleted everything from existence. So it's just a whole bunch of synthetics existing out there. So whoever created those synthetics, market makers, hedge funds, they'd have to go into the market, buy GameStop shares, and provide them on a 1-for-1 basis for every single solitary BBBY holder that was out there. This would cause gigantic buy pressure on GameStop itself, making everyone's shares worth so much money. And if on top of that they award warrants, like a 1-for-1 warrant for all those, meaning there's potential shares out there that can be purchased, and the price of the value of the warrant's going to fly through the roof. If you're doing a cash payout, right? Oh, hey, the estate is going to give out, $100 a share, $200 a share, whatever. Because you can now, the float or the total shares outstanding is so small that it's zero. So it's an infinite number, right? Oh, we got $10 billion left over. We're going to do $10 billion per share. Because that's what you can do when there's no shares in existence. Then all of a sudden, those same hedge funds and market makers have to find an impossible amount of money in order to give to everyone's accounts. There's some really diabolical stuff that you can do with that. I'm not sure if they would actually make it so the total shares outstanding would be zero by deleting them all from existence, but you can make it a fairly small number so that it becomes something that's completely unmanageable by everyone. So, I'm back to speculating on the diabolical. I really hope that it's as awful as I want it to be. What are you gonna do, monkey? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Snare alert! Oh, using. Thanks for the tips yesterday. I will go get a used Garrett detector. It's very good. Someone else sent me one for like a sort of like an introductory mind lab, about $300. It's one of the treasure detectors. and they're really good too. They do a great job differentiating. Like if you're gonna go, you know, you're in Europe, so you might be able to go look for cool treasure in old, you know, where Bronze Age people may have hid stuff or whatever. Here in America, there's like really cool Civil War battlefields. You can go and find like musket balls and whatnot. But going to like beaches and looking for jewelry, it's always kind of fun. And you can always go to like river basins. Like the one that they asked me about was this like treasure detector pro. It's waterproof up to like 16 feet, so you actually go diving with it and looking for treasure. They're really good. They're $300. It's not a bad detector for that price, and it can really allow you to like, you know, walk beaches and riverbanks and look for things in old battlefields and stuff. So, you know, you can go through like Verdun and try to find unexploded mortars from back in the day. Why not? Something to do. Lisa saw Houston. Don't take Monkey and Chalupa to Aalborg Zoo, Denmark. They want people to volunteer their unwanted pets as food for captive predators. What? All right, that sounds horrible. Monkey butt, you're not going there at all. I'm sorry. No, I won't let you. If you had 4 legs, you have a fighting chance. But right now, you can't corner anymore. And I'm going to say no. Sorry. The fat man would feed too many. He would go around quite a lot. I don't like that at all, Aalborg Zoo. And 9, White House has instructed NASA employees to terminate 2 major climate change-focused satellite missions. It's like they firmly believe that if you don't know about it, it doesn't exist. Like ignorance is bliss. You know, if you get a giant tumor growing off the side of your body and you never get a cancer diagnosis, you don't have cancer. Back when COVID was happening, Trump was like, let's stop testing and then COVID will stop. No, that's not how it works. You can fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That will not change what the economy is doing. It will just make it so we don't know what's happening until it's too late. So if you get rid of satellites that monitor sea surface temperature, sea surface height, air temperature, ice coverage, you know, looking for different wavelengths of green and plant life to see how it's doing. Like some of these climate change satellites are actually used by farmers to know when's the perfect time to harvest their crops. They get updates. They can go to subscription services and be like, hey, I need to know when my crops are this color and have this moisture content, and boom, that tells them exactly the window they need to harvest their crops for the greatest yield. And you get rid of these satellites, they're going to lose that. I mean, heck, our first land observation satellites were for farmers. Landsat satellites were for farmers to measure the wavelength of light coming off of plants. So you get rid of these things. You're also going to get rid of the same satellites we use to like figure out where cocaine grow operations are. So we know how to send, you know, the Colombian military after those guys. It's all so short-sighted just because it's used also to let us know that the earth is boiling. Doesn't change the fact that it's all on fire or flooding. Okay. Robert, explain what is different about taxes when buying IEP stock. Happy birthday. I don't know too much about the particular mechanism that IEP is because it's not technically shares of stock. They're these like investment trust things. Apparently the payout is already calculated post-tax. And so I think you essentially get the dividends more or less tax-free as a result. And then if you take your dividends and you just reinvest into those shares of the investment trust thingy they have, then you just don't have to worry about it ever. And if you collect enough of those, you can just borrow against it and spend that money rather than ever having to sell to pay taxes. So that's kind of the way I understand it. I'm giving a really terrible explanation, Robert. I'm sorry, but this is kind of off the top of my head from 2 years ago. Chris Taylor, I hate to say it, but don't let BBBY be too much of a distraction. There's good money to be made while we wait for BBBY. Besides, it's all out of our control anyway. Exactly, it is out of our control. We were talking about this yesterday. Like, there's nothing we can do to make it go faster or be bigger. But Speculation Station isn't necessarily about that. It's more about wasting time while we wait and speculating as to what they could be doing or figuring out what type of maniacal evil plots they could do to vaporize shorts in this whole thing. It's like buying a lotto ticket and then imagining what you would do if you won. Really, what would I do if I won? I would, I don't know, get the supercar and the fancy mansion and go on the private jet. I don't know, stuff like that. Right, monkey? Yeah. Okay. At 9. Wow, these GOP redistricting plans. Tell me there was a Nazi equivalent to this back then as well, more than just Jews identified that is. So the Nazis managed to take power with a minority government. In 1933, they only captured like 30-something%, but it was a plurality because there's so many parties that they were able to make Hitler chancellor. Once he got in charge, then he just made draconian rules and just wiped people out and made them so terrified to stand up against him at that point. And eliminating opposition was a huge part of that. So he set up Dachau, which was originally for the political opposition. It wasn't for Jews and the Roma and disabled. It was basically identify the folks who would stand up to us, put them in this camp, and then disappear them forever. And that's kind of how it worked. It was only later, once they got through most of the political opposition, then they're like, all right, we just invaded Czechoslovakia and Poland and everyone else. It's time to start scooping up all those undesirables and throwing them into these camps as well. In this case, it appears to be scoop up the undesirables, throw them into camps. Redistrict states so that you can get an advantage of Republican votes, because the tide is definitely swinging as people deregister as Republicans and change the registration to Democrats. You look at those numbers and you go, yeah, if 2026 happens, Trump is immensely unpopular. There's going to be a giant wave going the other direction. So we need to sort of negate that. I think Gavin Newsom is right to be like, we're going to fight fire with fire. You redistrict Texas to eliminate 5 Democratic seats. We're going to redistrict California to eliminate all Republican seats. And then we're going to get Illinois to do it. And we're going to get New York to do it. And we're going to get Washington to do it. And we're going to get Oregon to do it. And where Republicans have an advantage is the Electoral College and in representation in the House and Senate, due to the fact that representation isn't equal across all populations. You get 1 representative per 450,000 people in Wyoming. You get 1 representative per 800,000 in California. So it's already uneven. You almost have twice as many people per district in California as you do in Wyoming. But the problem is that Wyoming can't redistrict because it's one giant district. Same with North Dakota. Same with South Dakota. Right? Same with West Virginia. Like, it's just one district. And there might be 2 in West Virginia now. So if you try to redistrict these things, it's not going to do any good anyway. So you can take these huge population states, of which there are more huge population states that are red than there are blue, and you can redistrict the hell out of them and gain 20 to 40 seats right off the bat. And the Republicans have already done significant gerrymandering in places like North Carolina and Alabama and Mississippi and Georgia. And there's not much more they can do to squeeze out a few more votes out of all this. So it's coming down to sort of this like fight fire with fire, mutually assured destruction, that if Democrats start gerrymandering the way Republicans do, the Republicans will cry uncle and demand to have, fair oversight of districting. And then the Democrats win anyway because they've got more people. So yeah. It's when autocrats realize they're in the minority, they have to really double down and figure out ways to stay in power. And ultimately it comes down to, if we have an election, there's one choice and it's me. And if you vote against me, well, you're dead. So that's, Saddam Hussein getting 97% of the votes type thing. Same thing with other Ba'ath Party, Syria, Assad. Like, same type of thing. Like, oh, they love me. I got 97% of the votes. Because we didn't count the others, and when we did, we killed them. So, yeah. Oh crap! The cat's at the door again. He's gonna come yell at me. He's gonna bother me. Scratch the door. Come on, here. Are you just gonna stand there? You come in. You got one option. Come on. There you go. All right, come up here and you get your drugs. Bother me. Do all that. There he is. Cat karaoke. I'm gonna stay right there. That's good. Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. Don't go up there and attack the board. Don't do it, you stupid cat. Chris Taylor sad to say I sold No Labs today. Yeah, it's gonna with 750 million dilution. There's going to be a significant amount of shares sold out in the market. So, right, they're gonna make their money back, and then they're gonna do a giant reverse split. It'll come back. I really hope that No Labs did not miss their window with getting FDA approval, because the FDA is a shit show at the moment, and they don't have anybody in device. They fired everyone in the device approval area, so I don't know if they're ever coming back. The courts are kind of forcing a lot of these agencies that got shit canned by Doge back, but right now they're all basically on paid leave. So there's like, I watched a video from a young woman who is part of AIDS research at NIH, NIH, and she's like, yeah, they had to hire me back, give me all my back pay, but I'm not allowed to work. So I'm pulling down my regular salary and just hanging out at home, going for walks, going to the coffee shop. So it's like Doge did nothing that made things more efficient. Matter of fact, he made it much more efficient, because now they're paying me money and they're getting nothing out of it because the labs are shut down. And here I sit making money. And it's happening with a lot of folks. So if no one qualified is in the device approval division, how are devices going to get approved? Are they just going to put somebody unqualified in there and just rubber stamp everything? I don't know. So, Lisa, I saw New York Times has photos from inside Epstein palatial town mansion. I wonder how much that property is worth. Didn't it sell? Didn't they force it to have a sale at auction? Epstein Manhattan town home sold. Goldman Sachs executive Michael Daffy purchased the home for $51 million. The proceeds went to Epstein's victims compensation program. So that it was worth $51 million. Holy smokes. Dude, don't you dare. How big was it? 51,000 square feet. That's gigantic. Size of the house was believed to be 21,000 square feet in the late 80s, and by 2023 been enlarged to 51,000 square feet, spread over 9 floors. 15-foot-high oak door, large arched windows, distinctive features of the limestone exterior, heated sidewalk is located in front of the house. In 2003, Vicky Ward described the house as the crown jewel of the city's residential townhouses. It sits, or rather commands, the block of 71st Street between 5th and Madison Avenues. Almost ludicrously out of proportion with its 4- and 5-story neighbors, it seems more like an institution than a house. And it was believed that the largest private residence in Manhattan. The house in 2008 property tax bill was the 4th highest for a single residence in New York City. 2019, it was valued at $77 million by the U.S. Attorney of Southern District of New York and $56 million by the New York City Department of Finance. Herbert Strauss, the $67 trillion born Isidore and Ida Strauss, owners of retailers R.H. Macy and Company, never lived in the house, and work on the house was canceled shortly before Strauss's death in 1933. Strauss's heirs never completed the work on the house due to the high cost. Property taxes was unfinished in 1944 when it was donated by Strauss' sons to the Archdiocese in New York for a hospital. So imagine having a house so big, it gets donated to be a hospital. The Birch Warren School occupied the house from 1962 to 1989 when it was purchased for $13 million by Leslie Wexner, who was the Victoria's Secret guy. It was featured in the December 1995 edition of Architectural Digest. The interior of the house was designed under Wexner by John Stefandis and remodeled by the architect Thierry Despont. The Jeffrey Epstein moved in the house in 95, so Wexler only got the house for a couple of years, and then Epstein moved in there, at a time which he claimed to own it, although its registered ownership changed in 2011 from a trust connected to both Wexler and Epstein to a trust controlled entirely by Epstein. This is where like things are really shady between Wexner and Epstein. I can really see him that Epstein's like, give me this, and Wexner's like, yes, sir. Vicky Ward visited Epstein house for the talented Mr. Epstein, her 2003 profile of Vanity Fair magazine. Ward wrote that she felt that upon entering the house, you feel you have stumbled into someone's private Xanadu. There is no mere rich person's home, but a high-walled, eclectic, imperious fantasy that seems to have no boundaries. Rows of individually framed eyeballs manufactured for injured English soldiers decorated the entrance hall, along with twice life-size sculpture of a naked African warrior. A room described as a leather room had leopard print chairs and walls decorated in cordovan-colored fabric. A large oriental fantasy of a woman holding an opium pipe and caressing a snarling lion skin hung on the walls. A large office spanned the width of the house, decorated with large Persian rug alongside 18th century black lacquered Portuguese cabinets, and a desk that belonged to the banker J.P. Morgan. A copy of Justine, The Misfortunes of Virtue by the Marquis de Sade, which tells the tales of a sexually abused 12-year-old protagonist of the novel, was at the desk. A Steinway grand piano was surmounted by a stuffed black poodle. Epstein told Ward that no decorator would ever tell you... Oh, crap. My daggone monitor's crapped out. Come on, monitor. Bring it back. Bring it back. Come on. Come on. Screen number 3 here. Epstein told Ward, no decorator would ever tell you to do that, but I want people to think what it means to be a stuffed dog. Okay. French decorator Alberto Pinto was responsible for much of the interior. The house has a bathroom lined in lead with closed-circuit television. Crazy. That's... No, thank you. Oh, weird. All right. Where was I? J-Dog, go Mariners. 3L Atlas is really mothership or asteroid from a big planet. It's going to be probably a block of ice. Be my guess, either from Oort Cloud or from beyond, but it's going to do a parabolic pass, and that's going to be it. It's not aliens. Although I did write a screen treatment once where it's kind of set up like Armageddon or Deep Impact, where like, oh, this thing's going to come and smash Earth, and that's going to, we got to send our Bruce Willis is up there to go blow it up. And they get up there and discover that it's an asteroid, but behind it is like an alien invasion force. And the first strike is that big giant rock, and then everything else is like... That became an alien type thing. J-Dog, real life Starship Troopers. We'd like to know more. It's probably a block of ice is what it looks like. I don't know where people got it. It's a 7-mile long alien spaceship. They'd be a lot more freaking out if there was a 7-mile long alien spaceship. Snur alert. Also, Larry Chang is indicating that payouts will come before the collapse. What do you think? They come? Okay. If I'm waving your tail around, what are you going to do? Because it's on my mouse. Okay. I really hope payouts come before the crash, because I would like to participate in the crash with my payout money so that I can, like, further 5 or 10x everything after that. Seagill, waiting for funds to clear for some GME calls and shares. Don't think analysts understand how the value of their card trading platform won out of beta DGen gamblers. We are. It is a straight up slot machine is what it is. It's like a $25 to $500 pop slot machine. Literally, I watched some videos and the guys, they like deposit, push a button, it's like ding, 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 ding. Is it cool or not? Of course, I'm only seeing the cool ones, and they're like, I got this for a $25, play. But they don't really tell you how much they spent prior to doing that. But it seems very much slot machine-y. KYP hastened. Hey, KYP. J-Dog. Dang, should have bought Spotify puts. Oh, Spotify's crashing because they're demanding everybody update their driver's license, and everyone's leaving the platform. J-Dog, 12 fingers and toes is a thing. It's true. Not a moth. I saw a tweet that the bonds news was for the old ticker for bonds. Yeah. It seems weird because, like, when someone talked to E-Trade's bond desk, E-Trade said, hey, these bonds don't actually exist. All those were pulled back. What you are trading... No, it wasn't E-Trade. It was Mellon, New York Mellon. Mellon was like, hey, these bonds don't exist. They've all been held. What you're trading are the IOUs associated to those bonds. So there's some things going on with it. So the old bonds, I think, are the ones that got held by BNY Mellon. And everyone else, they got the IOUs in their pockets, I guess. Aaron, Houston. More the market keeps getting pumped. Do you think when it collapses, everything squeeze will happen and molest the same time in GME? Yeah, because the collateral used against these short plays is the longs, is the blue chips and the bonds and everything else. And that stuff is going to go pew, right down. You are just sitting on top of my hand, so I can't use the mouse very well, huh? Moo plop. So Moo Poolin is now Moo plop. I'm just plopping. Scott Pullen. Now that GME is making money, do you think you'd hold the shares because it's got value rather than squeeze play? Well, so far the value hasn't come in the shares yet, and I'm still holding them. I would rather make a hell of an options play when the time comes, so I don't have to worry about selling my shares. I won't care. That's been my goal all along. I don't want to care about having to sell my shares because I nailed the options play at the right time and it kept going. Problem is that each time it keeps going, it gets murdered by dilution or announcement of a bond or whatever. So, yeah. Turkish. Where's the money? Would ask you, what's up, BBBY? And time to feed Monkey Butt before you feed Chalupa Batman. Well, Chalupa Batman is asleep on my arm here. Can I get this Monkey Butt with my other hand? Seriously, my hand feels like it's falling asleep, cat. It's trapped underneath you. You want one of these? No? It's right there. I'm going to put it right in front of you, so you have to eat it. Yeah, see? Look, there's 1, 2... Well, I guess there's like 7 or 8 left, but they're all really tiny. Ugh. So close. So close to a new exciting treat, huh? Don't you want it? It's right there. She's gonna do it eventually. She's gonna do it. I can see her. She's sniffing. She's like, ah, fine, I will. Okay. And the fat cat hasn't demanded any drugs, so he's just falling asleep on my hand, so... I lost my spot. Oh, it's because reset. That's why. Okay. Turkish, damn, how long have I not logged in? I don't know. Turkish, 654, Houston. Anyway, can help get you YouTube to allow more charity shows? Please keep streaming. You have become part of my day today. A modern Cronkite. Thank you for everything. I have another ticket in with YouTube to try and figure out why they won't let me do more streaming. And perhaps, you know, if I waive the threat of leaving their platform, they'll be like, oh, that's one of our employees' salary right there or something. Maybe they'll fix it. It seems really arbitrary to me, and their excuses for why they limit charity shows to 50 doesn't seem to make sense. It's like, oh, it becomes really hard for us to do what? Like, you just change the value from 50 to $1 million, and then everything's fine. KTB, Houston, thesis. We are living in a new modern tech industrial revolution. Google called my business personally, inviting me to use AI agents to do automated work. It's happening. Long term, I'm bullish on tech. Short term, correction likely after 2 years when VCs get checked from too many AI company acquisitions. 10 to 15 years, markets will flourish from all of this. Markets are now big tech, not real economy. I'm investing. Yeah, I mean, the dot-com bubble had a lot of really good companies with really good ideas, but the physical tech was not there to back it up. Like I worked for Rivals.com. They streamed all sorts of sports programs. You know, like you wanted to watch a high school basketball game in Georgia, you could through Rivals theoretically. The problem was is that like 1% of the population had broadband back then, so no one used it. And then they went under because no one could use their service because nobody had the physical infrastructure to do it. Today, everyone has broadband, or most everyone has broadband. And so now streaming things are just ubiquitous 25 years later, 24 years later. And so if a Rivals had, been around today, they'd be just fine. Instead, they got bought up. Their tech got sold off to like ABC Go and other things. And then Rivals, what exists as Rivals right now is sort of like a glorified scout system. So if you wanted to know about a football team, you'd read it and you'd get scouting information on them. I'm totally digressing, but right now the AI is really expensive, really inefficient, and mostly a party trick. And if each one of those party tricks, someone, is like, hey, make a picture of Brad Pitt riding a camel, smoking a bong, and AI goes, chug, 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 bing, and produces that image for you. That just costs like $20 for the AI to do that. And so it's a giant money loser for everyone involved. We're just fortunate right now because there's some huge companies involved. And I need to get my hand. I have such a hard time. I like to gesticulate, and I'm just gonna. Oh, there we go. No, you don't have to get up. I gesticulate. There we go. I got both hands back. And the huge companies are backing it. So you got your Google and your Facebook and your Twitter and your IBM and Microsoft and everything else. So they've got huge money from other aspects of markets to spend on this thing and do their experimentation with because it's the future. The problem is that it's going to eat away at their cash in pretty large amounts very soon. And I bet if the economy crashes and you see internet advertising drop, you see companies not investing in new architecture, like computer architecture, and you see retail giants like Amazon, just things get too expensive, prices get too high, and people stop buying things, and so they contract. That a lot of this money that's subsidizing AI is going to dry up, which is going to leave data centers unused, data centers leases unpaid, equipment abandoned, etc. And there'll be a whittling down to basically who can survive all this. And unless all of these companies move into more efficient systems, I don't see a long-term survival rate for many of them. Who knows where it's going, little dude? Who knows? Right? So, oh, little face cat. Yeah. Peach Sunday. Happy birthday, Houston. What a majestic shirt for roller skating. Aaron, we humans are doing everything to turn the planet into Venus, Houston, a giant greenhouse planet. Yeah. I mean, if we can be Venus, we boil off the oceans, we are Venus. We never return. There's a point of no return at some point where temperature gets so high, we release so much carbon and water vapor in the atmosphere that it just cooks everything and it boils everything else off and it gets even hotter. And then we have a Venus planet where it's 97% carbon dioxide and, sulfuric acid floating around. KTB, regardless of bad news, markets are 22% Magic 7. They make markets and all their profits are up. I saw a tweet yesterday where someone referred to the S&P 490, meaning there's 10 stocks that matter in the S&P 500 and 490 that don't, and it shows that their earnings are flat. That if it wasn't for the Magnificent Seven and 3 other stocks, that the S&P 500 is basically unchanged for the past several years. So S&P 490, I like that one. Faster H. I got my 22.5 GME calls. What's the over under on keeping them until Friday? Happy birthday, man. If you had bought those GME 22.5s on Friday, I think you've doubled your money at some point yesterday. It doubled, went to like 70 cents. And I'm not sure. I didn't even check to see what it was at today. But Normally, if I have got weeklies, unless I'm expecting something crazy to happen on Friday, I'm usually out of them at some point on Wednesday. GME options chain. Whoops. Why cat? Keep clicking on the wrong things here. GME options. Optinos options chain. There we go. All right. So let's take a little look-see here. Boop boop boo. Come on. Clickety clack. There it is. All right. So yeah. Oh, if that analysis, no way. 22.5s. I mean, 22.5s. They're still. We're at 22.81. So 22.5s are at 53 cents, and they're at 38 cents on Friday. So you made money off of them if you got them yesterday or today at some point. So good job. I probably should have done that. Double my money. Why not? But the implied volatility under 40% right now. That's just insane. What are next week's doing? Show me, cat. Next week's 23s are 57 cents. 42% implied volatility. Man, cat. You're on my hand again, and I can't use my arm. I have not seen the prices of options for stuff that's like 10 days out this cheap ever since this play began. This is like the lowest implied volatility and the lowest premiums for options I've seen. What if we go a ways out? Let's go to the October monthlies. 250. 250 for 3 months out, basically. Not 2 months out. 2.5 months out. Implied volatility is only 65%. Kitty, that's fucking wild, man. It's wild. So, that's right, cat. Get off my hand. KCB. Any speculation on why the Trump administration is banning all drones? You can buy good ones for over $450 anywhere. Sold out nationally, says DJI is most likely banned in December coming. My guess is they want to force a domestic market for drones. And I don't know if you've read, Don Jr. is on the board of a drone manufacturer based out of Florida. And they just got like $1 billion contract from the government. Because, you know, grift and graft is everything. My guess is that national security wise, this is unrelated to anything Trumpian, but after seeing what has been going on with Russia and Ukraine and basically the world's first drone war, is if you don't control a manufacturing apparatus for drones, you are going to fall behind. And if you have to get everything from China, and you're in a war with China, well, you're going to be at a disadvantage, and Chinese drones are going to overwhelm you. So by banning Chinese drones, you're going to force a domestic market, which is going to force the manufacturer of those drones, and you're going to get the technology benefits from it. That'd be my overwhelming guess as to why. Plus, it makes Don Jr. money. KCDB, a Russian walks into a bar. Bartender asks, "What's it like to live in Russia?" Russian answers, "I cannot complain." Cat hair in the mouth. I drink some water. Okay. Louis threw some stickers up there and said hit that like button. And KCDB, rumor is that Trump is holding on China deal because he wants TikTok to be part of it, which China won't give in part to the U.S. I don't see any benefit for China at all in negotiating in any way, shape, or form with Trump. Like, U.S. imports account for less than 2.5% of Chinese GDP, and they can eat that and still have their markets grow. They can look at the rest of the world and go, yeah, let's do that. The United States needs them because there's a lot of stuff made in China that was never made in the United States, because the technology has been invented since manufacturing moved to China. And so we never even had the tooling or the know-how to make a lot of this stuff. And so China, I think, is the gorilla in this instance. And the U.S. loses out if China finally just goes, we don't need this. You don't need to negotiate anything. And the U.S. is at a severe disadvantage on that. Teresa Amendola is here. Giving a wave. KCDB also asked, can you believe how easy it is to keep our primate brains busy on TikTok, Reddit, and Instagram with the most mind-numbingly dumb AI narration videos? How quick humans are game. Please rant. Whenever I come across one, I just turn it off. I don't know if it doesn't find that sweet spot in my brain, but I think I consciously want to make an effort that if I'm going to watch something, I want to be made by a person so that a person benefits from it. And it's like, you know, when I went on a rant yesterday talking about being stronger than your lizard brain, I've felt like this for a long time. You know, if someone is like R. Kelly or Bill Cosby or Ted Nugent, and turns out that they're just a terrible person, I don't need to get my art from them. I can go find somebody who's just as funny, just as musically talented, who isn't a giant garbage monster. And then I don't have to like rectify in my brain, you know, my ethics and morals to try and overcome like, well, at least the beat's good or something, or this made me laugh, because it creates a weird conflict in my mind that I don't like. I don't like that cognitive dissonance. So if I can learn something from an actual human being, why would I want to dry my brain out with one of those weird AI narrated videos that has like the emphasis on the wrong syllable the entire time? So like the minute it hits me, I just go, skip. And so I reject it and move on. And I get sent a lot of them. People are like, did you see this? And then the minute I start, I'm like, no, I can't. So I don't want to give the AI the satisfaction of my attention in that space. And maybe someday I'll get so good I won't be able to tell the difference. And I'll think a human's doing it. But right now, I don't like it. And if I can avoid it, I do. Wall Street, PG says, Wall Street will never let us retail investors become millionaires. They will create new rules, lose shares and records, take their penalties, and move on. Shouldn't we all know that by now? Well, they'll let it happen once. Because if there's a loophole, the loophole gets succeeded, right? It gets utilized. And if it happens once, then they'll circle the wagons, plug that loophole, and hope they got it. So that's the narrow line that I hope we're just threading through the hole there. That loophole is so small. So yeah, they don't want it to happen, but if it happens once, they'll be outraged and make sure that it never happens again. So Jeff Heigel's got a sad elephant. I can't really tell what that. Sometimes these pictures are so small. It's like an elephant with eyes that are too big, or is that a mosquito? I'm not really sure. Hazel A. Trump's lawyer said Madam Maxwell said she never saw him do anything bad. Yeah, even though during the interviews, Michael Wolff had the 100 hours of interviews between Michael Wolff and Jeffrey Epstein. Apparently, Jeffrey Epstein on tape shows Michael Wolff a picture of Trump with naked underage girls sitting on his lap at one of his parties in Palm Beach. So maybe Maxwell wasn't there that day, or maybe she was the one holding the camera. Mors Veneer. Mors Veneer. I know where that is. Nope, you can't fool me, Mors. You're gonna try to send me to the Eye of Africa. Nice try, buddy. Gotta wake up early in the morning to get me. Morris, I hit you up on X, but wondered if you've done any charity stuff on Twitch and how it worked for you. I'm starting to do charity shows on Twitch. I have not done Twitch yet. I may have to go over to Twitch to do the charity shows, but I don't have like a large audience on Twitch. I have maybe 100 subscribers are over there. So I guess if you guys are here, go to the Twitch channel, which, what the hell is my Twitch channel? I think it's just twitch.io Houston Wade. Twitch.io /Houston Wade. Is that what it is? Nope. Well, that's because I can't spell my own name apparently. Let's try that again. Let's spell my name correctly. Oh, also there aren't two T's in Twitch. If I could just learn how to type, that would be Okay. Gosh dang it. Would you just... There we go. Twitch.tv, that's what it is. Twitch.tv. So, copy that. Click in here. Go like that. Boom. So, does it tell me how many? I have 527 over on Twitch. So, get over there, and you'll get notifications. So if YouTube can't figure out how to do this, we can do charity over on Twitch. I got to figure out how to do charity. I don't even know how I make money on Twitch, honestly. Somehow every 3 months they send me like $25. I'm like, I don't, okay. I don't know what happens or how it works. Sometimes if I do a show on there, I get like little triangles show up, and apparently that's money. It's not. I don't know. I'll figure that out. So, no, I have no experience doing charity shows on Twitch, but if we can't do them here, we gotta do them somewhere, right? So, mobile, that's I mean, you can just do twitch.tv, Houston Wade Home, not mobile. I don't know. You figure out BBBY brand. Hazel A. At Luminous, thumbs up. Jackson. Mandarin Jerry is a great Japanese chef. Okay. Hazel A. Houston. Your cat cracks me up. He knows how to get his catnip. Yeah, he does. You fat turd. You're inside your little cat box at this point. With your fat belly. Yeah. Did I tell you that he lost weight? He lost a lot of weight. He's lost 2 kilograms, 4 pounds and change. He was 19 point something his last checkup. When his recent checkup, he's at 15 point something. So they're being... Let's not jingle the jangles, right? There not being another kitten around for him to eat all the food of has been wonderful for his fat little body. You're looking very svelte today, I'll be honest. Maybe even lower now. Go outside and just roast in the sunshine and sweat it off, right, bud? Jonic. What's the safest real estate to buy by the water? Probably high bank of some kind, right? Although if you have a building close to the high bank and the water rises, the waves eat away at the cliffside and everything falls in. Maybe things on lakes. Lakes generally aren't for giant flooders because if water comes into the lake, it usually goes to the outflow at equally high rate. Rivers in flood zones are terrible to buy, but you usually get them pretty cheap because they can't get insured. If you're looking at a place on an ocean and you're like, I'm going to retire here, I wouldn't be so sure because at some point, West Antarctic Shelf is going to slide into the ocean and sea levels will rise like 12 feet overnight, and then you are boned. So probably the safest bet if you're looking long term is inland lakes. Hopefully they don't dry up on you, right, cat? But if you're rich enough, you can always get something upland and you can get something on the water. And if it gets flooded, well, you got your land upland you can go to. Barnum Wells is supping. KCDB, Tesla approves $24 billion pay package, largest pay ever. Second largest was Elon's last pay, 96 million new shares. Make stock go up because it means he will stay with Tesla. Investors like him as CEO. Investors are idiots because as a company, they're not going to make money anymore. Trump just canceled the $7 billion solar panel subsidies. So now Tesla's other business, which is solar energy, isn't going to get any customers because they're not getting subsidized anymore. EV subsidies are gone. No one likes Elon. No one's buying Teslas. They've stopped production on Cybertrucks. They stopped production on, was it Model Y as well? Because no one's buying them. Sales are down 70% globally. So what happens when the money stops coming in? Right? He's toxic to the brand. And speaking of brands, BTW brand. I'm keeping spy puts loaded in the background. Every little screw up gets me paid. Yeah. If you can afford far out ones, that's probably the safest bet you got because the tariffs are on, man. Like, we're going to get worse and worse, especially for quarter 3, worse and worse outcomes Right, Monkey? All these companies and the reporting. Yeah, because it's going to be too expensive to get things. Too expensive, buddy. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Did you get your scratch like a dog? Oh, crap. I got to get going. Hey, everybody. I don't know when I'll do a show tomorrow. Oh, I forgot to tell you also, no show Friday, no show Monday. I'm going to New Mexico for my brother's wedding, so I will be gone. If you are in New Mexico and you want to head up to Santa Fe on Sunday, let's do lunch or something. Why not? I have no idea where to eat. I remember a couple places I ate in Santa Fe, but that was like 10 years ago. So yeah, if you're in Santa Fe area on Sunday, let me know, and we can go grab lunch somewhere. Cool. All right. If I do a show tomorrow, it'll probably be afternoon or a nighttime show. I'm going to do lunch with my aunt in the city. That's going to take some time. I don't know when I'll get back. So think about that. All right. Cool. All right, everybody. You have a great day, and I'll catch you hopefully tomorrow.